Right, I think we're live. Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me and you can see me okay. Unfortunately, the chat doesn't appear to be showing on my screen at the moment. That's what the big black box is there. But hopefully you can hear me all right. Yeah, so this is the first time doing one of my live Q&As with the new Streamlabs software that I'm using. Sound is perfect, which is excellent. I don't know why the chat is not appearing. Oh, and there we go. The chat is now appearing. Fantastic. Now, for those people who have been watching my streams this week, you'll notice that there's been some issue with the chat in that it will occasionally loop. I've no idea why. I can't get any help on it. And I seem to be the only person in the world who's having the problem. So if the chat on screen that you can see right there starts looping, then let me know. Now, the background, I'm not in a dungeon. I just haven't changed my green screen background, so I've used a grunge background. Which is why we're there. Anyway, right, thank you very much to everybody for joining me. The way that this is going to work is I'm going to first answer all of the questions that have been put to me in advance on Facebook and on my BGG guild, and then I'll get to the live questions. So if you are here watching live and you have any questions, please hang fire with those questions for the moment, and I will get to them later on. We're also going to be doing the normal contest and other stuff. Now, normally I'm joined by Vicky, who is controlling the chat and everything else. Vicky's not here at the moment. She's just finishing up work. So I'm in charge for the next 15 minutes. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm glad the chat is working. That's good. Right, okay. So the first question I've had in is from Rachel. How long do rules stick in your head for a game before needing to relearn, especially where you have undertaken a how to play video? So this is a really good question because it's one that I've got a little bit of a story to tell about it. So I have many weak points in my personality and life and everything else, but one of the strong points is being able to remember rules of games. Now, my memory is generally terrible. I have various short-term memory issues and a touch of other things as well. But in terms of remembering rules for games, that was always the thing. It doesn't matter how long it's been. 4 or 5 years or whatever, I could go to a game and I could remember the rules of it. Not anymore, okay? Now, and I think it's mainly due to the fact that in the last few years, I've been learning so many games that now rules are starting to fall out. And for example, at 8 o'clock tonight, I'm doing a live solo playthrough of Bonfire. Bonfire, Stefan Feld. I did the how to play video for it. I've played it a couple of times. Do I remember how to play? No. But what's going to happen is sometime between the end of this live Q&A and the 8 o'clock stream tonight, I'm going to eat dinner, which is pulled pork made with Dr. Pepper, which is another story entirely. And a lot of it is going to come back to me. I mean, I was browsing through the rulebook this afternoon and, oh yeah, that comes back to me, that comes back to me. But years ago, I used to be able to remember pretty much all of the rules. And now I can't. So how long is it? Right now, it could be anything from a week or 2 weeks to a month. I would like to say within a couple of weeks, I would be able to remember it. But one of the changes to the channel that's happened in the last couple of years is that I'm doing a lot more live tutorial and playthroughs and things like that, which means I'm covering a larger quantity of games. That means there's a lot more game rules being entered into my head. So even Keeper, which I played, last week? Yeah, last Friday. Keeper. Would I be able to play Keeper again now and remember the rules of it? Probably. Next week? Probably not. Okay? I'm not saying they'd all drop out, but some of them will. So yeah, not as good as it used to be. Right, next question is from Ben. He said that my payments from YouTube go to charity. So yeah, if you're watching this and you don't know, all of my ad revenue from all of my videos goes to charity. Okay, so if you saw adverts at the start of this video or at the in any of my other videos, I don't make a penny from that. All of the money goes to charity, and each month I give to different charities as requested by patron supporters or suggested by patron supporters. And Benny's asking, how much is it? Now, I've been told that YouTube frown upon people saying exactly how much they've made from it. And also, I don't want to be the one who says something because a lot of content creators have advertising turned on. I never really understood how much money they made from it. I've heard it was very, very little. But what I've been contributing to charity every month since this started, which was in March, has been, in my opinion, a substantial amount of money. So yeah, and again, if I start saying how much I'm making for charity on that, that would effectively be giving away what other content creators are making. And yeah, I'm not comfortable in doing that. So anyway, it's a lot more than I thought. And that's considering my videos, you know, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but they don't get that many views compared to the big content creators. They really don't. But anyway, next question is from Paul Snuggs. How has the lockdown experience enhanced or detracted from your love of gaming? So before lockdown happened, probably the 12 months prior to lockdown happening, I was starting to enjoy gaming a lot more. And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy gaming before, but I went through a difficult few years in my life with health issues, my mum passing away and all of that lot. And maybe it was just a natural thing that once the grief of that had started to wear off, I really started loving board games, what I felt more than I'd ever done before. And then, of course, lockdown hit. Has it changed anything? It actually hasn't. In terms of my enjoyment of board games, it hasn't affected it at all. It hasn't enhanced it. It hasn't detracted from it. Obviously, playing games is different. We can't play games, you know. You can't come over tonight for a game of Cloudspire because I'm playing Bonfire, but you're not allowed to anyway. And I miss that, but it hasn't changed my love of board gaming. So yes. Paul also wants to know, what are my favourite board game mechanisms? So I've got a few. I like anything with pick up and deliver. I loved playing Merchants of Venus in the late 80s when I started really getting into board games. Started getting into board games, not really getting into board games. So pick up and deliver, I've always liked. Dynamic market. Worker placement, I've always been a fan of worker placement. Resource conversion. Oh, if you give me a building that allows me to convert 1 wood or 2 wood into 1 furniture, oh, I'm all over it. I do like resource conversion. And a part of that is because I'm influenced by a lot of computer games like the Anno series of computer games, which is all generating resources and then using different resources to convert other resources, all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's some of my favorite mechanisms. Right, next question from Chris, who wants to know, have I tried passion fruit Jaffa cakes yet? I don't think I have. I remember Chris posting on Twitter, I think, or Facebook, that he's got some passion fruit Jaffa cakes. I've not had one of them. I've had all sorts of different flavours, but I don't think I've had the passion fruit ones. I'd like to try them though. Assuming a value of 0 for the regular ones, how do I rate the other flavours, including off-brand ones? The problem now is that there's so many off-brand ones, and Marks and Spencer's do their own Jaffa cakes, which are kind of like a rectangular thing. The cherry ones are really nice. The cranberry ones that were for over Christmas were really nice. The lemon ones, or the lemon and lime ones, nah, I wasn't too keen on them. They were a little bit weird. And again, I can't remember what they were, but yeah, a friend of mine in Finland gave me some at Essen a couple of years ago. And every time he tells me what flavours they were, and every time I forget. But there were 2 flavours which you can't get anywhere else. One was red, one was green. I can't remember what they were, but they were both amazing. So yeah, they're probably my favourite ones. Probably because you can't get them anymore. Right, okay. Yes, hang fire with the live questions for now. If you are sticking around, Vicky will be here in a minute and she will be able to take those live questions. So yeah, just hang fire with the live questions for now, because I'm not going to be able to see them. Apart from Shiffy has just said he never heard of Jaffa cakes. Right, you need to Google Jaffa cakes and look them up. You probably can get them where you are, and definitely try them. I'm not on any commission. Right, Charlie is asking me, what game has surprised me the most in terms of it being much better than I had anticipated, and also which games turned out worse than anticipated. So I've actually done quite a little bit of preparation, I've done quite a bit of preparation on this answer. What I did is I went through all of my games that I've played according to my log on BGG for the last 5 years. Okay, I went through the whole list and I thought, which ones of these surprised me? So I'm not going to talk about anything specifically because there's a big list. But first of all, here is a list of games which surprised me. Now, before I give you the list, caveat, I'm not saying that there are not games that are better than... What I'm saying is, the question is, which games surprised me? Okay, so games which I went into thinking it was this good, and it turns out it was this good. Okay, so I'm not going to say, for example, Maracaibo, because I went into Maracaibo thinking this was going to be fantastic, and it was fantastic. So that's not on this list. Right, here we go. War Chest. Thought it was going to be okay. Turned out it's brilliant. Dragon Castle. Thought it was going to be a bit too light and a bit of a family, not very much to it, and it turns out it was really good. Kingdom Rush. I've spoken about Kingdom Rush before. I thought this was going to be a game which I really didn't like, and I thought it was going to be just random nonsense. And it's really, really good. Crown of Amara, I thought was going to be good. It was better than good. Newton, I thought Newton was going to be good. Turns out it was excellent. Vindication, I wasn't sure I was going to like it, and Vindication, I did like it, and I've done a review of it. Ingenious, and I've got another story to tell you about Ingenious. Ask me later on Slack. I won't go into the details here, but Ingenious by Reiner Knizia, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Stauffer Dynasty, bit of an underdog there, but Stauffer Dynasty I thought was going to be good. It's brilliant. Australia, I really didn't think I was going to like it. I'm not going to say it's brilliant because it does have random elements for combat and it is sort of semi-co-op, but I enjoyed Australia more than I thought. The Golden Ages, thought was really good. High Rise from Gilhover, I thought that was going to be good. After playing it now twice, I think it's very good. Isle of Skye, I went into Isle of Skye thinking it was going to be Carcassonne with bidding, and it turns out it's a brilliant game. So Isle of Skye. Paranormal Detectives, again, I thought that was going to be a silly little throwaway nonsense, have a bit of fun with a few drinks game, and he's really clever. Tapestry and Pendulum, both from Stonemaier Games, both got a lot of negative press. I went into them not expecting much, enjoyed both of them. Tapestry more than Pendulum. Cousins War, wasn't sure what to expect with Cousins War. Thought it might be okay, but it's actually extremely good and extremely clever. The Crew, I wasn't sure I was going to like The Crew, but that's because a number of people had said, oh, it's a bit like Hanabi. The Crew is brilliant. Really, really good. And Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress that I played a couple of months ago. Again, went into it thinking this is going to be Games Workshop, a merry trash, random nonsense, and really enjoyed Blackstone Fortress. Right, next question. Vicky's now coming in. No mouse. No mouse. Right. Similar question. Which games was I disappointed about that ended up being a lot worse than I thought they might have been going in? Matainai from Carl Chudik. I really gave that game a good try. I played it like 15 times and eventually just went, no, this is awful. This really is awful. Small City. I'm not saying Small City was awful, but Small City ended up disappointing me. Some good bits to it, but there's some bits that just don't work well, and there's couple of rules that are a bit broken. London, both editions from Martin Wallace. I do like Martin Wallace games in general. London was a big disappointment. Blackout Hong Kong. It's an Alexander Pfister game. Why is this on my list? The graphic design of the first edition. Diabolically bad. Why would I play that game when I've got Great Western Trail, Maracaibo, all of his other ones? City of the Big Shoulders, I've done a review of that. I tried it, wasn't sure what to expect, thought it might be okay. I ended up coming away very disappointed. Dice Throne, heard loads of good things about that, played it once. Now, Mule, lots of buzz, based on a computer game from the 80s, could have been fantastic, just bombed, just didn't work at all. Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, thought was one of the worst games ever designed. Transatlantic, wow. Yeah, go and watch my review of Transatlantic if you want to know what I thought about that. Legends of the American Frontier, actually, I didn't know what to expect on that. I got convinced to play it at a games day, and that's one of the worst games I've ever played. Mistfall, really disappointed in that. Race Formula 90, and more recently, the Undo series of games. The Undo series of games came out last year, I think. And they were sort of supposed to be like a bit of a puzzly game, a little bit like Time Stories, rewinding time and everything else. Just awful. Awful. If you want to know what I think about the Undo series, and we've played 2 of them, go and watch Tom Vassel's video. Because Tom Vassel's video that he did for the Undo games, yeah. Oh, right, yeah. So I'm not keeping an eye on the chat, but I have just seen a message from Luke. We'll talk later. I've got reasons why I think it's an awful game. So there you go. That that is a very, very long answer to Charlie's question, but I did want to put in a bit of effort onto that one. Another question from Charlie was, have I discovered a game that I would like to play over and over because I love it so much? And there's a few of these. Cloudspire is one of them. I just cannot get enough of Cloudspire, and I'd love to just play it, you know, once or twice a week, 3 times a week, all weekend. Just fantastic. Love it. Maracaibo at the moment. I'm loving that. Great Western Trail. Feast for Odin. Always love playing Feast for Odin. Mage Knight. Gloomhaven. There's probably a few other ones, but they are a list of games that I can't see myself getting bored of. Through the ages as well. Through the ages I've played, what, 400 times maybe? 300-400 times? Yeah. Always play that one. Right. Next question. So Vicky is here. So if you do have any questions for me now, if you put the word question in capital letters, then what Vicky's going to do is she'll see them, copy and paste them into a document, and I will get to them once I've finished with these questions. So there we go. Thank you very much for all of your questions. Right, another question from Rachel. What's the thing I've enjoyed the most on my month off? So for those people watching this who don't know, I've taken January off work to basically produce lots of content. So you may have seen, you may be thinking, oh, wait a minute, Paul's taking the month off. Isn't he doing like 10 to 12 live streams a week? Yes, he is, but none of them are paid for. So I'm basically taking the month off from paid work, and I have spent the month, I've been as busy as normal because I've been producing lots and lots of content. What's the thing that I've enjoyed the most from my month off? 2 things. The first one is, and we were speaking about this last night, Too Many Bones, Maracaibo, and Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth have been talking to me, literally, for a year, saying, play me, play me, play me, right? And I don't have the time. Because Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth is a campaign, Maracaibo has a campaign, and Too Many Bones requires multiple plays to get your head around it. And I never managed to find the time to fit in plays of those. And I'm really happy that we're getting near the end of the month and I've played them a whole bunch of times each. Tomorrow night will be my 4th stream of Too Many Bones this month. I'm over halfway through the Lord of the Rings campaign. I'm not quite halfway through the Maracaibo campaign, but I'm playing it on Thursday and Friday of this week. And then I probably will be halfway, 2/3 of the way through. So that's the first thing, is the fact that I've been able to dedicate a whole bunch of time to a few games and play them repeatedly. The second thing that I've enjoyed the most is the people in the chat. A number of you are watching this now who have been in most of my streams. And to be honest, that's what makes it worthwhile. So a huge thank you to everybody who pops into the live streams and says hello and joins me in the chat, whether it be playing a computer game or whether it's be playing a board game or whatever. You know, it's the engagement in the live chat that really sort of keeps me going. Because if it was just me playing the game on my own with one person in the chat, that wouldn't be the same. And you've made it really worthwhile for me. So thank you. Following on from that, Neil is asking me, has this month been a success for me? So not financially. It's definitely not been a success financially this month, but I think it's been a success. And by the end of week 1, it wasn't looking good in terms of my stress levels and how busy I felt. But after all, we're getting near the end of the month. I could have done with a bit longer, to be honest. But yeah, I think it's been a success. And he wants to know, will I be doing something similar again? I'll be honest with you, over the weekend, I was actually considering whether what I've done in January could become the new norm. Now, what that would mean is I cut down on my professional rulebook work by about 80%, and I cut down on my sponsored videos by about 80%. If I did that, I'd be reducing my income by 80%, which I can't do. But if I could do that, if I won the lottery tomorrow, which I won't because I don't do the lottery, but if I did, I would love every month to be like January. Okay? So yes, I'd love to continue. Realistically, I can't. But I'm looking at doing more. Now, this year is already fully booked with work, pretty much, to the end of the year. So I can't make any changes now. I can't say, oh, I'm going to do this again in July. I'd love to, because July's my birthday. I can't do that because July is now booked with work. But This month has been an interesting thing for me to do, and I'm looking at 2022 as to how I'm going to do this. Whether I do 1 month off, or whether I do 1 week off every month, or whether I go down to 3 days a week work and do the other 2 days of work doing Patreon content. I'm not sure yet. I will let you know near the time. Right. Neil also wants to know, what are my thoughts on Expedition to Newdale? Because I gave it a positive review, but then he noticed it wasn't in my top 10/20 of 2019. And you're right. Now, Expedition to Newdale was on my list. Okay, when I went through what were my favourite games in 2019, I made a big list of everything that I've enjoyed playing, and that was about 50 games. And then I had to chop it down, and I chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped. And Expedition to Newdale didn't make the cut. I do enjoy the game. I think it's a good game. I've enjoyed it. The push your luck mechanism in it, I know you can mitigate against it, but sometimes that push your luck is like, oh, right, I really need a blue meeple to come out the bag, and there's more of them in there than anything else, and it didn't come out. Right. Okay, well, I've mitigated against it, but I'm still a bit screwed. So I'm not a big fan of push your luck, and whilst I enjoyed a lot of the game, that was one of the factors in it. Right, a question from Jos wants to know, are there any plans to do a how to play video for the Dice Hospital Community Care expansion? So Alicite Games used to be a client of mine. I think I can say they're no longer a client. I don't do any work for them anymore. I have done a whole bunch of their rulebooks in the past. I did the Dice Hospital rulebook. Some of my team were involved in the Dice Hospital Community Care expansion rulebook, but I've not been involved in anything that they've done recently. So yeah, I don't think I'm doing one for that. Brian Robson wants to know, have I ever thought about doing board game and biscuit pairings when I'm broadcasting a live stream? And the answer is yes, because last week I did Viscounts of the West Kingdom solo playthrough, and I meant to go shopping and buy some Viscounts. For those of you who don't know, Viscounts are a biscuit that you can get in the UK, either orange or mint, and they're basically biscuit with a bit of chocolate around them. They're called Viscounts, and I was going to do that, and then I forgot. But he's suggesting penguins with Endless Winter, wagon wheels with Western Legends, etc., etc. Yeah, or Tunnocks with Glenmore 2, Isle of Skye, Clans of Caledonia, or everything else. I mean, any excuse for me to eat cakes or biscuits, yes. Right, a couple of questions left from the Board Game Geek Guild, and then we will go to the live ones. Orange Viscounts are the best. Okay. Right. Harold wants to know, he said he learned Mage Knight from my videos and the German rulebook. He's pre-ordered Cloudspire, and he's also thinking about getting Too Many Bones, but he's not a native English speaker, and he's a little bit scared about learning these two games. How would I rate their complexity to Mage Knight? And this is a question I'd like to get people's answers in the chat as well, because I have my own opinions on this. I'm a fan of Mage Knight. It's my #1 game. I'm a fan of Cloudspire. It was my #1 game of 2019. And I'm going to talk about Too Many Bones a bit more in a little bit, but suffice it to say, I'm a fan. Mage Knight has the 2 rulebook approach, with one being the walkthrough and one being the full rulebook. Now, a lot of people hate that, but for me, Mage Knight, the way that you learn Mage Knight with the walkthrough booklet is brilliant, okay? Too Many Bones and Cloudspire don't have that. All games are complex. Mage Knight might even be more complex than the others. But Cloudspire and Too Many Bones, they're a different kind of complexity, because in Cloudspire and Too Many Bones, the core rules are simpler a bit, but they have dozens of keywords. And those keywords all mean different things. So the first few times that you will be playing Too Many Bones or Cloudspire, you'll go, right, I know the rules now, and you'll turn a counter over and it'll have a keyword, and you'll have to look up that keyword, and then you'll be like, oh, right, what does that do? And when you're looking at 12 different units, all with keywords, you're like, Mage Knight doesn't have as much of the keyword looking up, okay? But Mage Knight has the walkthrough manual, so I think that is an easier game to learn. With Cloudspire and Too Many Bones, they're both complex games. The original rulebooks for both games is not particularly great, but I've done videos, so hopefully that will help you. And if you do get either Cloudspire or Too Many Bones, let me know. I'm more than happy to help. The best way to learn Too Many Bones is have somebody who knows how to play teach you how to play. Okay? And that's speaking from experience. Second question from Harold is, in times like these, he's playing lots of solo games. How would I rate the solo experience of Too Many Bones? Is it worth buying without knowing when you're going to be able to play in groups again? Now, I've said this a few times, that whilst I am playing a lot of solo games, and there are some solo games that I'm really enjoying, there are certain solo games which I would always prefer to play with more than one person. Too Many Bones is one of them. Too Many Bones, I have only played it solo once. Would I play it solo again? Yes, I would. Is it better with 2 to 3 players? In my opinion, yes. So that is more of a question for maybe the BGG Guild or maybe other people. Is Too Many Bones worth buying if you're only going to be playing it solo? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. A lot of people really rate it as a solo game, and you can always play two-handed, which is what I'm doing with the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. Because Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, whilst you can play it solo, if you play solo, you have to take 2 characters. Exactly the same with Gloomhaven. You have to take 2 characters. And I'm getting to the point with the Lord of the Rings playthroughs that I'm struggling. I'm struggling to keep track of 2 characters with multiple pieces of equipment, multiple skills, and I'm kind of losing the plot a little bit, and that's just running 2 characters. So I would always prefer to play with more characters. Same with Spirit Island. Spirit Island, a lot of people play solo, but I think Spirit Island is better, much better, as a 2 to 3 player game. Right. So yeah, a few people in the chat are saying that Too Many Bones is awesome solo and not hard to do two-handed once you've played it a bit. Yeah, it's just me. I struggle with things like that. Right. Okay. Scott has got another question, slightly related to Too Many Bones. Scott has got this idea for a game. It's got gear socks instead of gearlocks who venture out into the world of Darnin to do battle against a variety of haberdabbery in a series of encounters leading up to a final battle against a tyrant. He's thinking of calling it Too Many Toes, and would I edit the rulebook for him? Well, good luck with the game, Scott. I'll support you as much as I can with it, but I'm not taking on any additional rulebook work at the moment. So yeah, just get the Monopoly rulebook and just change the details. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Next question is in from Josiah. What games have I been enjoying solo the most over the last few months? He's been playing a lot of Terraforming Mars, Feast for Odin and Black Angel, but he hasn't had any other luck with other games due to the overly complex solo modes. Both Lord of the Rings and Too Many Bones he would prefer with more players, which is what I've just said. Two-handing... No, in fact, that's what I've said. This is me replying to his question in my Google Doc. Apologies for that. So yeah, like I said earlier on, Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, Too Many Bones, I would prefer them with more players. And Lord of the Rings, I'd love to play that again with 3 to 5 players. It'd be fantastic. Maracaibo solo experience has been going okay for me. The solo mode for Maracaibo has been very good and rewarding. Feast for Odin, I've not played that solo much over the last few months. So yeah, which games have I been enjoying solo? Apart from Maracaibo and Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, that's about all I've done High Rise solo. I've done Viscounts of the West Kingdom. I've played a lot of solo games, and tonight I'm doing Bonfire. Maracaibo's probably been my favourite one, but that's because I'm playing it repeatedly. Chewy wants to know what my favourite games are to play on Board Game Arena. For those who don't know, Board Game Arena is an online gaming site where you can play board games for free, but they've got premium subscriptions as well. And yeah, what are my favourite games to play on there? Have I found new interest in some titles from knowing some games better? So I don't actually play that much on Board Game Arena, okay? At the moment, I'm doing so many live streams of board games. I am playing a few asynchronous games in the background, but ones that I have played on Board Game Arena, where the implementation is great. I've played The Crew is very good on there. Russian Railroads, Nippon, Zolkin, Teotihuacan. They are the games I've played on Board Game Arena, which I think are really good. If you're in the chat, let me know. If you are playing games on Board Game Arena, which are your favourite games to play on Board Game Arena? And I know Board Game Arena at the moment are going through a drive. They're putting a lot more games on there, so they're really ramping up their stuff. Right, next question in from HKB Schifflers. Why did I focus on writing rulebooks? And how many rulebooks have I written? And which of my rulebooks do I think are the best? So, in order, why did I focus on writing rulebooks? Now, I don't think I actively chose to become a rulebook writer. It kind of accidentally happened. So, about 10 years ago now, I think. No, how long have we been here? 12? 11, 12? It's probably about, it's about 12 or 13 years ago now. Wow. Because I'd been going to Essen since 1999. So I'm seriously into board games, as you can tell. I've been going to Essen for a long time. And about 12 or so years ago, I started wanting to do a bit more. And I was effectively one of those fans who started making FAQs for game or getting involved in the forums and answering rules questions and things like that. And then I approached Czech Games Edition. Oh, it was 2007. Yeah, 2007, 2008. So yeah, about 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when I approached CGE and basically said, oh, I'd like to start, you do great stuff. I love your games. I'm a fan and this is brilliant. And is there anything I can do to help you and things like this? And that was the start of it. It all started with me just being a fan of board games and then wanting to do more and more. And then through helping out CGE, I got involved in doing their I got involved in helping out with their rulebooks. A lot of people think I write the CGE rulebooks. I don't. They have a team of people that work on the rulebooks, and I was a very small part of that team. But I learned some of the basic processes of workflow and editing and everything else. And then I started working with What's Your Game and doing a bit more. And then I started doing more and more. And then it turns out that people thought I was quite good at it. And I was like, oh, so I'll carry on doing this. And then that suddenly spiraled. And if I wanted to, right now, I get enough offers of rulebook work that I could quit everything else and just be a rulebook editor. Yeah, which is great, but I don't want to be doing that full time. So yeah, I wouldn't have said I chose to focus on being a rulebook writer. It kind of just accidentally happened. How many rulebooks have I written? That depends on your definition of writing, because most of the rulebooks that I've been involved in, I haven't written from scratch. Some of them I have. Some of them I've taken the designer's notes and I've written the rulebook pretty much from scratch. But most of the time I've edited an existing rulebook, which could be, very, very deep level editing. It could be completely rewriting, restructuring and everything. I haven't got a list of them. I keep meaning to make a list. In fact, I have a BGG list, but I haven't kept it up to date. It's probably about 100, maybe 50 to 100. I don't know. Which are the ones I'm most proud of? Before I say which ones I'm most proud of, I have to say a thank you to everybody who has helped me with rulebooks over the years, because it's not just me, okay? I will work hard on a rulebook and I'll do as much as I can, but then I have a number of people who help me out, who double check what I've written and say, Paul, that doesn't make sense. Paul, you've missed a semicolon there, right? So my rulebooks are only good because of the combined effort of the team of people that are working on it. Which ones am I proud of the most? It's probably for the heavy games, which have got a good reputation for being good rulebooks. So Robinson Crusoe 2nd edition, really proud of that one. Considering the amount of work and time and effort I put into it, that's been received very well. On Mars was a rulebook which I almost wrote from scratch, sort of. I mean, that's a little unfair. I did get given one, but I changed the whole thing and totally reordered it and restructured it. The Gallerist, that was another one that was pretty much mine. Legends Untold, not a very well-known game, but I was really pleased with the rulebook work that I did on that. Alibari, Nice Cup of Tea, I did the rulebook work on that. Escape Plan was mine. Dice Hospital, me and a group of other people. And then recently, me, Chris, and a few other people on my team have been working on Jordan Draper's rulebooks. Import, Export, Tokyo Metro, Tokyo Market. They've been a massive amount of work. Turns out, even if they come in a small box and they appear to be relatively light and simple games, they're not. Jordan puts in lots of stuff into the game that causes lots of, oh, but what happens if this and what happens if that? So those rule books were an absolute challenge to work on. And again, wasn't just me, but yeah, happy with how they've turned out. Right. Just before we move on to the next set of questions, yes, thank you very much to everybody in the chat for joining me. We have a contest running. Vicky's going to put a link in the chat right now. Every month I do one of these live Q&As. Games Law donates to me £25 worth of game vouchers. So if you are watching this either live or you are watching this at any point up to the 31st of January, you can enter the contest. Okay? All you need to do is click on that link there. There is a form that you will fill in. You just need to give me your name, your email address. You need to give me the answer to the secret question, which is going to be Bonfire, because that's the game I'm playing tonight. And if you're a patron supporter, let me know, because you get an extra entry into the hat. And then basically on Sunday night, I'll do the draw and somebody's going to win £25 worth of games vouchers. So yes, thank you very much to Games Law for supporting me in this. Let's move on with the questions. Stuart wants to know, is a chocolate digestive simply a Jaffa cake with the orange jelly removed? I think we need to do a test, Stuart. Next time you come and see me, blindfold me, and then give me a chocolate digestive and a stale Jaffa cake. I think I'd be able to tell the difference. Tony wants to know, is Too Many Bones a worthy investment? We're talking a lot about Too Many Bones, which is good. Oh, we've got cats chasing each other. You're right. Yeah, that's hot. Yeah, that's a light bulb. Right, okay. That's me talking to Thor, not the light bulb. Is Too Many Bones a worthy investment? How's the replayability? It's been on his wish list for some time, looking for an excuse to pull the trigger or forget about it. How does it measure up to other chip theory games? Now, I can only compare it to Cloudspire, because Cloudspire is the only other chip theory games that I've played. And it is comparable in that it's expensive because it's a premium product. You can tell the amount of design, time and effort that has gone into the game. That is apparent just from not just the physical stuff, but looking at how detailed it is and how much work has gone into it. And both games are complex and hard to learn, with lots of keywords that you're going to have to learn and lots of how things work together. Other than that, the games couldn't be more different. They are completely different games, other than all of those things that they have in common. What is the replayability like on Too Many Bones? Now, let's just talk about the base game of Too Many Bones, because I've got a whole boatload of expansions, but it's unfair to include those because they do add replayability. In the base game, you've got 4 different gear locks and you've got 7 different tyrants. Each tyrant that you play against is going to be different, although the tyrant mainly just affects the end battle. I think the replayability is quite high. I have only played it, 6-7 times now, but I would happily play it again. And the reason why I think it is replayable is a similar thing to why I think Gloomhaven is replayable. A lot of Too Many Bones is about the tactical combat once you get on the battle map, okay? And you're going to be fighting different baddies, and it's going to be slightly different every time you play. You've got different gear locks to choose from. You've got different characters to choose from. You've got different builds for the characters. So it's going to play out differently. And that's what I'm saying with Gloomhaven. I could play a particular scenario of Gloomhaven, and then I could play that scenario again with different characters, and I'd still enjoy it. Okay? It's not just the same thing like, a lot of other narrative-based games. So I personally think the replayability on Too Many Bones is very high. Obviously, if you do get into it and you do buy all of the extra gear locks, you're adding in a boatload of extra replayability. Speaking of Too Many Bones, David wants to know whether I would choose to take a nice shiny buckler or a poisonous bog meat. Poisonous bog meat every day of the week. That's an in-joke for the Too Many Bones stream earlier this week. Rick wants to know, he says, and I know it's very unlikely that I were to do a 10x10 gaming challenge, which games would I add to it? It is very unlikely that I would do a 10x10 games challenge. And the reason for that is my life contains enough stress as it is, and a 10x10 challenge is going to add to that. Okay. One of the things which I've had to learn over the years is that the word should can lead to a lot of negative feelings. So, I should do this, and I should do that, and I should do this. It adds pressure. Whether you want to do something or not is another thing, but the use of the word should, for me, has some slight negative things associated with it. And a 10 by 10 challenge would be there. It would be a list of things on the wall that I would feel that I should do, whether I wanted to or not. And knowing me, I would put a game on the challenge and then I'd play it 4 times and I'd be like, right, I'm done with that. I don't want to play it again, but it's on the 10 by 10 challenge. And then I feel that I'm compelled to play it. So no, I just want to play lots and lots of games. But if I was to put some games on the 10 by 10 challenge, let's put Outspire, Through the Ages, Too Many Bones, Maracaibo, Marvel Champions. Yeah, all of those games that I love playing anyway. Mage Knight, Gloomhaven. Right, there you go. I would more than happily play those games 10 times, 20 times, 50 times each. Why don't I put them on a 10 by 10 challenge? I don't want the time pressure of having to do them within certain length of time. Right, that is it for all of the questions that I've been asked in advance. So thank you very much for that. For those interested, I have a BGG guild. Vicky's going to put a link in the chat right now. If you are not a member of my Board Game Geek guild, please join. And there's not much traffic on the BGG guild. It's pretty much a dead guild. I will post things to there, and those things sometimes get a reply. But the BGG guild is a permanent place where people can engage and do things like that. And feel free, if you're on the guild, if you want to ask a question about anything, start a conversation. You're more than welcome to. But what I do every month is I put a thread up on my BGG guild for people to ask me questions in advance, which is where all of those questions came from. Right, okay, so I'm now going to go through the questions that we've been asked since we've been live. So thank you very much for all of these. It is 5:45. We're going to go till 6:30 tonight, so I'm going to get through as many questions as I can. If I don't get to all of them, then I'm going to apologise in advance. But yeah, we have to make dinner, eat dinner. I've got to relearn how to play Bonfire and then get everything ready for tonight. So, first question from Mark. Is that a true wall or a green screen behind me? It's a green screen. Yes, that is not. It's a grunge background. It's one of the grunge backgrounds that I use in some of my videos. Jenway wants to know, have I found myself playing more solo games during lockdown, or have I always been a solo gamer? So, I haven't always been a solo gamer. I started dabbling with solo games about 6 months before lockdown because I wanted to start trying it more. Have I been playing more during lockdown? Yes, because haven't had that many other options. I say I haven't had that many other options. I have. I've done lots of live streams with other people, and I'm doing another one tomorrow night. I'm playing Too Many Bones with Rick tomorrow night. But 6 months ago when we were in lockdown, I was doing a lot of remote streams and they were taking a long time to coordinate. Coordinating, you'll know, for those of you that do any coordination of game nights, you'll know how much extra work it is. And me coordinating all of those remote plays with different people around the world in different time zones and how we're all connecting, it was actually quite stressful to do it all. So yeah, I still don't class myself as a solo gamer. Technically, I am, because I'm doing solo gaming, but I'm not a solo gamer in that I would prefer to play solo than I would multiplayer, okay? I would always prefer to play multiplayer, but I am enjoying some of the solo games that I'm playing at the moment. Mark wants to know another question. When are we going to get Gaming Rules merchandise? He needs a box of Gaming Rules dice. I will get one sent to you, Mark. Just send me your address and I will send you a Gaming Rules dice. But in terms of Gaming Rules merchandise, I thought about this about a year to a year and a half ago. I got the dice made. The plan was to get t-shirts made, cups made, and everything else. It's just one of those things that I just haven't had time to work out how I'm actually going to do it. But it's on the list of things to do at some point in future. How awesome is Vicky? Says Graham Charlton. Vicky, apparently Vicky is very awesome. Yes, Vicky is awesome in many, many ways. And it's her birthday on Friday. So there you go. Everybody wish Vicky happy birthday for Friday. Russ is here in the chat. What's a game that I would like? Sorry, what's a game I like, but would rather the theme or setting be completely redone? Oh, that's a brilliant question, Russ. So Russ, my BGG guild, where you can ask me questions in advance. If you've got a question as good as that for next month, ask me in advance, because that's one I'm going to need time to think about that. So I'll tell you what, Russ, what we're going to do, I talked about the BGG Guild a minute ago. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post a new thread on my BGG Guild and ask that exact question. I'll let other people answer it as well, and then I'll have a think about what I'm going to do. So if you are on the BGG Guild, oh, and when you join the BGG Guild, make sure you subscribe, because if you don't, and I learned this the hard way, I joined various guilds on BGG and then I didn't see anything. And I'm like, what's going on? Why am I not seeing anything? You have to join and then you have to subscribe. If you don't subscribe, you won't actually get any notifications whatsoever. So please join the BGG Guild, please subscribe, and later on tonight or tomorrow, I will post Russ's question, which is, what's a game that you like but you would rather the theme or setting be completely redone? And I'm sure I can think of one. I just can't think of one off the top of my head. But yes, good question. Adam wants to know, what are my top 3 Arkham Horror living card game campaigns and why? Now, Adam, I've only played Night of the Zealot, Dunwich Horror, and Path to Carcosa. I've only played 3. I would love to play the rest of them. That is the game which unfortunately has fallen by the wayside for me during lockdown, because we were live streaming it and we were due to get started with the Forgotten Age in April. Yeah, April 2020. Me, Emily, Alan, and Andy were going to start the Forgotten Age. And of course, it didn't happen, and they're currently not allowed around the house. So yeah, I've only played those ones. And I don't, yeah. They are my top 3, because they're the only 3 I've played. Answer for the contest. Yes, Vicky is going to put a link in the chat again to the contest for those of you who are joining. And the answer to the contest is Bonfire. All you need to do is go and fill in that form and put Bonfire. Luke has put that we should play some Arkham Horror living card game together. Yes, Luke, after we've played the Lord of the Rings living card game, because I still want to play that with you. Nigel is here. Nigel has said, after Board and Dice's announcement, RE Danielle Tashini, has my relationship with either party changed? Will this affect my coverage of either Board and Dice or Danielle in the future? So, yeah, for those who don't know, there's been a lot of things happened in the last couple of weeks regarding certain comments made by Danielle Tashini. And Board and Dice have now terminated their professional relationship with him. It's an area which I've chosen to kind of step back from for a couple of reasons. You're absolutely right, Nigel. I have professional links. Not much. I don't have any written agreement with Board and Dice. I've done a couple of videos for them in the past, but, you know, not that much. I haven't spoken to Danielle for 3 years. So, you know, I don't have any professional working relationship with him. But I do have professional working relationships with people who have direct connections to them. So it's tricky. I have my own personal thoughts on what's happened. It's just not, it's a minefield. It's an area which I'm nervous about getting involved in, because knowing me, I will say the wrong thing, right? Even if I don't mean to. I mean, obviously, I condemn racism, obviously. I mean, I say obviously. It turns out there are some people out there who might say it, but actually say something else. But, yeah, I'm just nervous about using a wrong word at the wrong time, in the wrong place, and suddenly my career's over. And, yeah, it's a difficult time. Is it going to affect any work that I do with Danielle in the future? As I say, I haven't done any work with him for, what, 6-7 years? So that's not going to change. I don't think Danielle is going to be part of the industry anymore. Is it going to affect my relationship with Board and Dice? It's not going to affect my relationship with Board and Dice. If Board and Dice come to me and want me to do some videos for them, then, you know, I'll happily consider that. Right. Absalom wants to know, what games do I feel need a reprint? Oh, that is a good question. What games need a reprint? See, it depends, because I've got quite a few games in my collection which I think are really good games, and I think they might be out of print. Trying to think. Obviously, Gumshoe needs a reprint. Yeah, if you don't know what Gumshoe is, go and look it up on BGG. It came out in the 80s, I think. That definitely needs a reprint, but it needs updating. It needs all of the problems fixing, and then it needs a reprint. It's never going to happen, but we can hope, we can wish. But I've got a copy in the attic, so I don't need a reprint. I'm trying to think of a game which I don't have, and I don't have because it is out of print, and that I would want, and it would need to come back into print. Yeah, I'm not sure. Put your answers in the chat. If you know of a game that you want that is currently out of print, put your answers in the chat and put something like out of print and then the name of the game so that we can see what what people are saying. Yeah, because I can't think of one offhand. Mark is asking, what will it cost to get a streamed playthrough of Vikki on camera? Right, no amount of money. Is that all it will take? No. Vikki was saying a lot of Jaffa cakes for her, but no, that won't do it. The closest we're going to get is the Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion time-lapse videos that I did. I did a couple of them. They weren't that popular, so I've stopped doing them. But in those videos, you see Vikki's arms and no audio. That's the closest we're going to get, I'm afraid. Next question. How am I? How good was your day? Thank you, Eric, for asking. The honest answer, I've had a very bad couple of days with regards to my anxiety issues. I won't go into them in detail here, but the last 2 days for me have actually been really tough. So yeah, hopefully they'll get better later this week. Doodle Bluebird wants to know, what are my views on High Frontier and Antiquity? So this is a question which was actually in the chat about 4 hours ago. I looked at this video on YouTube, sat waiting to go, and about 4 hours ago, these questions were in the chat. So, my thoughts on High Frontier and Antiquity. So, my thoughts on High Frontier. Yeah, so High Frontier is a Phil Eklund game, and I have made my public feelings about, I've made my personal feelings on Phil Eklund public on more than one occasion in the past. And now it turns out everybody else is saying the same thing about Phil Eklund. So I wasn't alone with what I thought about him, but my issues with Phil Eklund were twofold. The first one was from a game point of view, that his rulebooks I felt were very, very bad, like almost impossible to learn how to play, and he didn't seem to care. And every year he comes out with a new game with another terrible rulebook that's indecipherable, and I'm like, look, if you're not going to care to put any effort into your rulebook, then I'm not even going to try and play your games, okay? And all of his games were the same. The rulebooks were just indecipherable, and I didn't like that. Also, I've tried playing a couple of his games, and I felt that they were not really games for me. They were more simulations. High Frontier, Mike Nudd, friend of mine, patron supporter, game designer, he's a big fan of High Frontier. And on Christmas Eve, he actually said to me, next time we meet up, he's going to teach me how to play High Frontier. I'm now not sure I'm interested in the game. I mean, the board looks fascinating, and I was a sci-fi person growing up. You know, I had a model of the Saturn V rocket, and I went to NASA, and I was all into that sort of stuff. And it looks fantastic. I just don't know whether I want to spend my time learning and playing a kind of game like that, which is just simulating rocket trajectories and fuel allowances. I'm not sure. And then obviously the second part of it, leaving the games aside, Phil has very outspoken views on certain things in life which I disagree with strongly. And he's been like that for years, but recently a lot of people have been calling him out on it. So yeah, that's sort of my opinion on High Frontier. I wanted to play it when it first came out, but now I'm not sure whether I even want to bother. My feelings on Antiquity. So Antiquity was a Splotter game, and I was there at Essen when Antiquity came out. And one of our group, or two of our group, bought it. I respect Antiquity for what it is, but it's overpriced. It's got loads of components. It would work better as a computer game. It's literally lots of fiddly counters on hexes. Same with Roads and Boats. So very expensive game. Production quality is really not good. And the game itself is very interesting. I have a lot of respect for Splotter games, and I like some of them. But Antiquity was one of those, yeah, it really was something that would work better as a computer game. And one of our friends at the time, a guy called Kong, who went with us to Essen, basically mathed the game out. And it's one of the problems that Splotter games have, not all of them, because Bus doesn't have this, but you can pre-program a whole set of moves. And what he did is he spent months analysing the game and plotted out exactly what steps you should take and worked out that one of the particular factions or whatever you choose will always win if you do these particular 17 steps. And it's the same with Food Chain Magnet. I remember the last time I played Food Chain Magnet, which is why I went off it, somebody turned up with a sheet and they just followed the instructions on that sheet. And I'm like, this is not what games should be about. Anyway, that's my very brief opinions on, what was it? Where's it gone? Here, High Frontier and Antiquity. Right, going back, questions. Games that people would want reprint. Renegade, yes. So I can talk about this a little bit, but I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. So Renegade is a game designed by Ricky Royal, Box of Delights, and it is out of print, and it is going to be coming back under a different name. I hope I'm allowed to say that. If Ricky's in the chat, then I don't know. But yes, Renegade should be getting a reprint, and I am looking forward to that one. Shifi says Incognito. I don't know that one. Oh, Palace of Carrara. Yeah, or Carrara. Palace of Carrara has passed me by. I've heard it's brilliant. I never got a chance to play it. It came out, it was only in German, I believe. But yeah, there definitely needs to be... Oh, maybe there was an English version. Definitely needs to be that. David Digby is suggesting Nippon, Trajan. Trajan was reprinted recently by Renegade. Yeah, Nippon, possibly. And Chaos in the Old World is a suggestion as well. Chinatown, didn't Chinatown get reprinted recently? I thought it did. Thunderbirds. I didn't know whether Thunderbirds did that well. Mercator. I really like Mercator. I don't think it'll get reprinted though. Oh, and Forbidden Stars. Yeah, Forbidden Stars. I've played once with Adam, 2-player. Brilliant game. Brilliant game. And yeah, maybe I need to get myself a copy of Forbidden Stars. It was really good. Also, St. Petersburg and Colosseum. So Colosseum did get a reprint. Tasty Minstrel Games did a reprint of Colosseum. St. Petersburg, I didn't realise that was out of print. Again, I thought that had a new version as well. Anyway, there's some out of print games, although some of those I don't think are out of print. What are Vicky's top 5 games and what's her favourite? He says mechanic, he means mechanism. Top 5 games is going to be tricky because Vicky doesn't really play that many games, to be honest. The kind of games we play together are the exit games, the unlock games, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and we're playing Tainted Grail together, and we're playing Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion together. So that's probably it. That's really the only games that Vicky's has played. Yeah, so it's the escape room style games, anything with like logic puzzles or mystery puzzles or anything like that, and then Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, Tainted Grail, Chronicles of Crime, things like that. Favourite mechanisms? You don't play Euro games to really know mechanisms, do you? So, yeah, no. Don't think she's got any. Right, Adam is saying, why am I not a fan of Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, yet I enjoy Journeys in Middle-earth? I could talk for half an hour about that. So we can talk about that later on. There are a few reasons, and I think I might have covered this, because I did a review of Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, and I might have covered it in there. The biggest one, and I'll just touch on this briefly, in Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, and again, it's been a couple of years since I played it, you get into a fight, and it says, what weapon would you like to attack the zombie with? Brackets, bladed weapons are good against it, and you've got a choice of knife or club. Okay, well, it's just told me that bladed weapons are more effective against it, and I've got a knife, so I'll use the knife, and you press a button on the app, and that's it, and then it tells you everything. Whereas in Lord of the Rings, you at least have a skill test, you actually use cards, you can spend tokens to boost it, you look up those tokens on a result thing, you've got weapons and everything else. That feels more like a board game. Now, when the enemies attack you in Lord of the Rings, that is a random number generated from the app, but I'm okay with that. It's the player-driven stuff which I felt was very weak. Also, cards greater than dice for me. Shane and Stuff says, have I played the Oh My Goods stories that lead into Expedition to Newdale? He got Expedition and then discovered its story continues from those, so I've borrowed them all from a friend. So, I have Oh My Goods. I enjoyed Oh My Goods up until the point where I got Tybor the Boundmaster, Tybor the Builder. And that, although is different, it replaced Oh My Goods for me. And then Expedition to Newdale came out, and Expedition to Newdale definitely replaced Oh My Goods to me. Oh My Goods is a nice game. It's a card-driven game, but there were a couple of parts of Oh My Goods that I felt were counterintuitive is probably the wrong word. Fiddly to learn and fiddly to manage. And I understand because it's a card game. So you have cards as resources and everything else. And it was just a bit messy and a bit fiddly. And what's this? This is going there and what's that? And it was all just a bit confusing. So ever since getting Tybor the Boundmaster and now Expedition to Newdale, I've not gone back to play Oh My Goods. Now I did get Longsdale in Revolt. And I did try playing it. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, in my opinion, Scenario 2 of Longsdale in Revolt is way too hard. And a lot of people I know who've played it have said the same thing. And it was just, and you're supposed to play it and win it in order to move on. And it was just almost impossible. So yeah, I've not gone back to it because I then played Expedition to Newdale, which I much preferred. But it's nice that they're all in the same world and the stories kind of all connect to each other. Adam is asking, if I had the time and wanted to play RPGs again, what setting would I enjoy and the most and why? Absolutely, no doubt whatsoever, Shadowrun. Okay, I think the setting of Shadowrun is fantastic setting. And what's ironic is that I played role-playing games for 25 years plus, and I've never played Shadowrun. It's sad, right? And I've actually spoken about this on Slack a couple of times in the last couple of months. If any of my Patreon supporters on Slack want to run a game of Shadowrun, let me know, because I am definitely up for it. As a player, not as a GM, I don't have the time for that. But I would very happily join in a game of Shadowrun. I think the setting for Shadowrun, for those people who don't know, is it's like 20 years in the future, and it combines fantasy with technology. So you have elements of the Matrix. You have people with cybernetic enhancements, and they can jack into a Matrix, and there's the virtual world. But you've got fantasy. Something happened, and you've got orcs, you've got elves, you've got shamans, you've got mages. It's basically combining, fantasy with future technology stuff. And I've recently, if you're interested, I've recently done I've recently finished a series of digital playthroughs of Shadowrun Returns, which is a digital computer game. But the atmosphere in the game is brilliant. So yes, definitely Shadowrun. But there are other RPG settings that I find as interesting as well. But definitely Shadowrun if I was to pick one. Matthew Palmer, am I planning to play Trismegistus, the Ultimate Formula solo? Can heartily recommend it. So I'm not planning to play that solo. It was on the list of which solo playthrough do you want me to do this month? Because every month I do a solo playthrough. Well, this month has been special, but normally every month I commit to doing one solo playthrough, which my Patreon supporters vote on. And that game got added on there. Part of me wants to play that game again, but part of me never wants to play the game again. The rulebook is horrendous. The graphic design looks like it's a prototype and it's not finished. The game is good. Unfortunately, they made the barrier to playing the game, or to making the game enjoyable to play, too high. And I'm not sure why I would play that game when I've got 100 other games with really good rulebooks and really good graphic design. So yeah, you're recommending it solo, but you've mentioned that there's going to be a lot of AP. So yeah, it was on the list, but I think I might move on from that. Excuse me. Lack of Jaffa cakes, that's what it is. Got something in my throat. It's good job I've got this button that I can mute my microphone, because that coughing would be very loud. Right. Gosh, it's still there. It's not cleared. Aaron is saying, I very much prioritise mechanisms versus theme, but he's curious as to what games I enjoy where the theme is actually more important than the mechanisms. Tainted Grail being one of them. And I'm not saying the mechanisms of Tainted Grail are bad, but I'm saying that the narrative element and the setting of Tainted Grail is the reason why I play that game. It is just out. It's fantastic. I love that. So that's one of them. Other games where I feel the theme are more important than the mechanisms, or it's a tricky one because, as you say, I am very much. If the mechanisms of the game are not good, I won't play the game, no matter what the theme is. It doesn't matter if you give me Shadowrun the board game, but the mechanisms are awful, I'm not going to play the game. Okay, Firefly the board game, I'm not going to play it, even though it's Firefly. But I can't think of any other game where the theme is more important than the mechanisms. If you know of one that I know, then let me know. How about a Kickstarter to fund a month's worth off per year? We could do that, but it's a good idea. And to be honest, the Patreon support that I'm getting is actually it's very good. So yeah, thank you to all of my Patreon supporters for making this month possible. And I know some people do it, but I'm personally not a big fan of running multiple crowdfunding campaigns. Okay, so I use my Patreon campaign to fund a lot of the work that I do. Time off for doing this. You know, I should be doing rulebooks at the moment. I should be doing rulebooks tonight, but I'm doing a solo playthrough of Bonfire. All of that sort of stuff. I use the Patreon channel for that. I feel I wouldn't feel comfortable running a Kickstarter on the side unless it was for a specific thing. And you've suggested a specific thing, but one of the problems I have is that a lot of the rulebooks and the how to play videos I want to do. So it's not like I can completely say no to them. But yeah, anyway, we'll see how we go on. Adam's got another question. The favourite game that we play together? So Vicky has said Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Out of all of the games that we play together, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is her favourite one. And we're playing again this Saturday for her birthday weekend. So yeah, looking forward to that. If I was to be a custom character in a board game or card game, which game would you like to see yourself in? And what abilities or powers would you have? Ooh. A custom character in a board game or card game. If you're giving me a complete freedom of choice, I don't know. I'd probably like to be in Marvel Champions, but I don't really have any abilities or superpowers. What abilities or superpowers would I like to have? Ooh, that is a good question. I don't know. I might have to come back to that one, Adam. I might have to have a think about that one, but that is a good one. And that might be another one that I put on the guild. Yeah, that might be another one that I put on the guild. So let's just mention the guild again for anybody who's just joining. Board Game Geek, guild number 2258. Please join, please subscribe. There will be 2 questions posted to that guild that you can join in on. One of them is the one from Adam that he's just asked, and one of them is the one from Russ earlier on. And I will post those questions tonight, if I remember, and then you can all join in and I'll have a think about it. Janeway wants to know, do I have some games that I would suggest for solo only? Now, there's 2 ways that I could read that question. Are you saying games that are only solo that you want me to recommend, or games that I would suggest if you're only going to play them solo? So Too Many Bones we've talked about before, and lots of people in the chat said that Too Many Bones is brilliant for solo and they only play it solo. So Too Many Bones is one. Recently, Under Falling Skies. I think Under Falling Skies is a great game. And that is only a solo game, and there's lots of replayability in that. Spirit Island, a lot of people have said that's great solo, but I would always play that 2 spirits, because with Spirit Island, it's the way that the different spirits can work together, more so than any other cooperative game. More so than even Too Many Bones. Your characters in Too Many Bones might interact together, but in Spirit Island, they really do interact together. Yeah. So yeah, some games that I would suggest for solo only. Yeah, definitely Under Falling Skies, definitely Too Many Bones. Cloud Spire if you're interested in that, although, because there's a whole massive solo section for that. Yeah, and maybe Bonfire. I'm playing Bonfire solo tonight, and we'll find out. Ian wants to know, have I found my missing Journeys in Middle-earth card? So no, I haven't found the missing card. And it's getting me a bit frustrated because I've been searching the house and not finding it. But I've also, and I don't know if this is good news or bad news, I've also lost a whole load of those cards with the green icon on the back, the terrain reference cards. Now, I definitely had those, and I've lost them since I played last week. So, yeah, I haven't found it, and I've lost more. Gedson wants to know, what is the game that I'm looking forward to the most for playing with a full player count? Oh. So when lockdown ends, I am looking forward to getting back our Arkham Horror Living card game group because I love that game and I haven't played it for 10 months now. I would like to play Too Many Bones, not with a full player count. I think Too Many Bones is probably better with 3 players. 4 might be too many. And again, Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. 5 might be too many for that game. Yeah, if you're looking at specifically full player count, I'm not sure, because a lot of games I think work better at 1 less than the full player count. Jim wants to know, have I tried Search for Planet X? I haven't. That's another game which I saw and yeah, haven't had a chance to play that one. Shiffy wants to know, I like worker placement games. What do I think of Darwin's Journey? I haven't played it. All I know is that everybody I know that's played it has said it's fantastic. But at the moment, with the limited time I have, I'm focusing on doing my streams and everything else. And that is taking a lot of time at the moment. So yeah, I haven't actually looked into it at all. But I've heard it's by the designers of Barrage. And everybody else has said it's fantastic. So it's probably a game that I would like if I got a chance to try it. Scott is asking me, do I consider my rulebook work writing or editing? So on the whole, editing. But sometimes it's definitely writing. Okay, for example, Endless Winter. That was definitely writing because what I got given was effectively bullet point notes of how you play the game, and I had to turn that into a rulebook. So that is writing, but a lot of the other time it's editing. Yeah, it's a fine line between the two, and some of the editing ends up being writing. Brian, what sponsored videos are queued up for the near future? I can tell you. Yeah, February is my return to work. And I can tell you what I've got planned in February. So at the start of February, I've got a couple of days booked out to work on the High Rise rulebook. So Gilhover has contacted me and has basically hired me to work on the 2nd edition rulebook for High Rise. Because he said that there was a number of criticisms over the first printing of the game. I personally didn't feel it was that bad. I felt there's a few parts that needed some clarification. We're going to be working on that. That's not a video though. In terms of sponsored video, I don't actually... Right. There are 3 videos coming up in February which are never going to be on the channel. They will be available for Patreon supporters as a behind the scenes view of what I'm doing. And they are paid for by the publisher. But what they are is I am testing a rulebook for a game. So the publisher has done the game. The publisher has done the rulebook. They want to see if the rulebook is okay. So they have sent me a copy of the game and I'm doing Keeper at Sea for Richard Breeze. I'm doing Stars of Achios and I'm doing Don Pierre. So that is 3 videos which my Patreon supporters will see. They will be done in an afternoon, but they'll never go public to the channel because they'll never go public viewing because it's basically me sitting here learning how to play a game from the rulebook and critiquing the rulebook professionally. Okay, so that is not. I mean, I know I've done videos where I learn how to play the game from the rulebook and I critique the rulebook, but they're done for fun. If I'm doing it professionally, the kind of feedback that I give during those videos is not something that I think the publisher would want to be made public. So yeah, Streets. That will be due by the end of February. I'm also going to be doing a live tutorial and playthrough video for this. And the green screen is not quite working with this, right? Yeah, because it's a bit green. This is Stroganoff. This is a prototype of Stroganoff. Andreas Stedding, who's a brilliant designer. I love his games. On the 15th of February, I will be doing a live playthrough of that, a live tutorial and playthrough. I don't know how I'm going to be doing it because of lockdown. We will find out nearer the time. Jenway wants to know, do I find myself criticizing rulebooks more when I'm learning a new game? Yes, absolutely. I can't stop myself. Yeah, whenever I'm reading a rulebook, if there's something that I don't think is right, I'll say something. And yeah, when you're learning the game, that is the main time that I look at when I look at the rulebook. Ian is asking, if Jaffa cakes made a savoury filling, what would you want it to be? Oh my God. Yeah, probably chili, probably something Mexican, because I love Mexican food. Would it go with chocolate? No, probably not. Okay, but yeah, I do love Mexican food. So yeah, Jaffa cake, enchiladas flavour. Yeah, let's go for that. I'll write to Mac Vitties and ask him. James has got a question. How much do I think rules videos are supplanting rulebooks for learning games? Do I think that presents any problems? This has been asked a few times on various forums over the last couple of years, and it was asked on a Facebook group that I'm on last week. My personal opinion is that rulebooks should always be included in the game. Okay, and the publisher should be going to an effort of producing a good, clear rulebook. The fact that hang on a minute. The fact that both myself and other people create instructional videos which are an alternative way of learning the game, I don't believe they should ever replace. And one thing that really frustrates me is when a publisher produces a game with a bad rulebook and then says, oh, well, don't worry about it. Such and such a person has done a video for you. No, the video should not be a replacement for the rulebook. The video should be an alternative way to learn the game, and you still should be spending the same amount of time and effort on producing a rulebook, irrespective of whether you do a video or not. So, do I think videos are replacing rulebooks? No, not at all. I personally, ironically enough, cannot learn how to play a game from watching a video. So I'm a rulebook person. I know a lot of people prefer videos. There are advantages to both mediums, but both mediums need to be there. Nice Day 3 says, Tinner's Trail has been released on Kickstarter. Have I played the original? Yes, I have played the original Tinner's Trail, and I thought it was good. I only played it twice, I think, but I quite liked it. An earlier Martin Wallace game, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Peter is asking me, since switching to the new streaming software, you seem to be having far fewer issues. Do I wish I'd changed sooner? In fact, that question is so good, he's asked it twice. Peter, it is impossible to quantify the amount of regret that I have in my life for not switching sooner. I have literally been tearing my hair out for over a year and suffering large amounts of worry, stress and anxiety over my previous piece of streaming software. So yes, I wished I'd have changed sooner. In fact, the last time we both agreed we cannot carry on like this, it was crashing multiple times per stream. And I just went, I've had enough. I don't care whether I stop work for a week. I need to learn a new piece of software. They went and released an update, and because I pay for the software, they gave me a year free. And because they gave me a year free and they updated the software, which fixed the crashing, I went, okay, I'll give them another chance then. And then gradually it's got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So yes, I do wish I'd done it sooner. And I feel bad for all of the videos I've done in the last year that have crashed midstream, because since switching to the new software, I haven't had a single crash. And it's just, I mean, I feel bad during the stream, but for those people watching the stream, I'm supposed to be a professional and I'm supposed to be producing a professional show. And when the stream's crashing and things are going wrong, it's unprofessional. And that makes me feel really bad. Anyway, is it possible to avoid social media as a content creator? Yes and no, okay? There are some content creators that are very, very active on social media. And there are other content creators who are not active on social media. And I say not active because there's a couple of content creators that I know who are very popular and I'm friends with them, and they will still post stuff on social media, right? And they go in, or they've got a suite of programs that does it, and they will make a post to Twitter or Facebook and they step away. They're not active on there. They don't go there. They don't engage with people. They don't read it. They don't look. But they still post stuff. So is it possible? Absolutely. Am I that close to being one of those people myself? Yes. There's a whole aspect of social media that is extremely causes a lot of anxiety problems for me, and I'm trying to step away more and more. And I might take a leaf out of their book and literally give up completely on the social media and just have a program that I post that posts for me, so it tells people about my videos. But other than that, yeah, not take any active part in it. So yes, it is possible to avoid social media. Paul Mack wants to know, am I aware of RQI as per the Opinionated Gamers site, and are they used much? I'm not. RQI, I'm going to look that up because I know the Opinionated Gamers and I get their blog. RQI, Opinionated Gamers. I'm friends with a lot of the people on the Opinionated Gamers. Okay, so it's Chris. So I know Chris. I've met Chris a few times. Chris is great, and I definitely read his articles. So RQI is a rules quality index. And I didn't know about this, but it's an article by somebody who I know. So yeah, I didn't know about that. But yeah, rule quality index. I'll have a read of that article later on. If you want to know more about it, just do a search for RQI Opinionated Gamers, and it is an article from Chris Ray, who I last saw at Essen 2019. Yeah, Chris is a great great guy. Scotty's asking, should I buy Jaws of the Lion? Vicky's nodding. I think Jaws of the Lion is fantastic. We've only played it 6 times now. I want to play more. I wanted to play it all Christmas. I want to play it all weekend, but apparently it's somebody's birthday. Genway says, what is my favourite Uwe Rosenberg game? What is my top 5? Oh, well, Feast for Odin is brilliant. Feast for Odin is probably my favourite one. I do like Caverna. I do like Ora et Labora. I've gone off Agricola because I think it's too punishing, and I don't want that level of punishment in a game. It's, you know, I liked Agricola when it came out, but yeah, I don't want that kind of stress and pressure in a game. What other Uwe Rosenberg games have I got that I enjoy? I need to go back to Hallertau because I loved Hallertau when I started playing it, but after 3 or 4 games, I'm not quite sure where the replayability is in it after I've played it 3 or 4 times. But what it is, it's good, but I'm not sure about the longevity of it. So anyway, there's a few Uwe Rosenberg games. Joel and John have both asked the question, have I tried the Shadowrun board game? So if you mean Shadowrun Crossfire, yes. I played it once and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. But, caveat coming, remember the first time I played the Pathfinder Adventure card game first edition when that came out? Hated it. Now, I actually quite like the Pathfinder Adventure card game. The changes that they've made in the second edition fixed some of the issues I had with it, but the overall core mechanisms of the Pathfinder Adventure card game are still the same ones as the game I hated and the game I now enjoy playing. I've evolved and changed as a gamer. My gaming style, my gaming tastes have changed over the last few years, and I want to go back to Shadowrun Crossfire now. If anybody I know has got a copy of Shadowrun Crossfire, I want to play it again because I think, and I might be wrong on this, but I think I'm going to enjoy it now, whereas when I played it back then, I really didn't enjoy it. I felt it was completely random, outside of my control, and I didn't know what was going on. And as I say, my tastes have evolved and changed, so that might be different now. Andrew has got a question. Good news. I've been promoted to the Emperor of all board games, and I need to choose my cabinet. Who is replacing me as Lord of Games Rules? Oh, gosh. Right, so I've been promoted to Emperor, and I need to choose my replacement. So my replacement, in terms of a rulebook writer or my replacement in terms of somebody who's doing my live streams. Yeah, I'm not sure. Ask me later on. If you're on Slack, ask me later on Slack, because I've got a few choices about that. Right, how are we doing for time? It is coming up for 6:30. No more questions, please. I've still got a bunch of questions in here, so I'll answer those questions and then we'll wrap things up. So yeah, no more questions, please. If you do have any questions, please wait till I post the thread on BGG, which I'll post probably this weekend, and they'll get answered next month. So, do I know of games that the publisher changed a rule that the designer was against changing? Yes. Yes, I know a few of those. One of the famous ones was the original version of CO2. The publisher wanted it to be able to be played with 5 players. Vittel said, this game will not work with 5 players, don't do it. And they forced it through and they made it a 5-player game. And the original version of CO2 is a disaster. The rulebook is a mess. The graphic design is just... the production quality wasn't good. And they made it 5 players. And I played it 5 players once, and it totally breaks the game. It does not work. So that's one of them. It's not really a rules change as such. But there are definite things where the publisher has changed something, and it happens. I've got a number of examples, and I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about those examples, but I'm involved in that process. I'm a developer of board games with CGE, and a lot of the CGE games, the designer has an input on the rules, and he's obviously the original person who created the game. But games like Tzolk'in, Adrenaline, Sanctum, anything like that, Pulsar 2849, the publisher sometimes has the final say on a rule other than the designer. And this is one of those things. If you're watching this and you think that because I used to think this, you buy a game, the name of the designer is on the box, and you give that designer all the credit for the game. Sometimes they don't deserve it. And I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean is sometimes the developers of the game also are to be thanked. Okay, so a classic example, and I'm going to talk about Bonfire. Bonfire is a Stefan Feld game, but it's published by Hall Games. Hall Games is a one-man operation run by a guy called Ralph, who's really, really nice person, and he's a really clever person, and he's a brilliant games developer. And every game that Hall Games publish, he develops. Now, I'm not saying that he would overrule Stefan Feld on something, but he's involved more than you know. And you get the game and you see it's Bonfire by Stefan Feld, and what you don't realise is all of the good work done by Ralph in the background. Anyway, what theme and mechanics mix would you like to see in a board game? Well, mechanisms, this is a question from Nicole. So mechanisms, theme and mechanisms mixed together. Oh gosh. Shall I answer the same thing that I answer every month? So every month I get asked a similar question, and it is, what theme would I like to see in a game? And it's Arkham Horror, living card game, rebranded into the Dresden Files, right? That's what I want to see. Yeah, Dresden Files, for those who don't know, is a series of books, was a TV series, short-lived, but brilliant. Love the setting, and I would love to see the Arkham Horror card game transmogrified into that. A question from is Agamonia still scheduled for a February Kickstarter? I don't believe so, but the publisher is the best person to speak to on that one. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be February. I have been told when I think it's going to be, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share that. Adam, any conventions that you have never been to but really want to? Right now, no. I'd like to go to PAX Unplugged to see what it's all about, but I'm not saying I really want to go. The ones that I've really wanted to go to, Essen, obviously, Gen Con, things like that, I've been to them. So right now, there isn't a convention that I really, really want to go to that I haven't been to. But to be honest, in my particular role at conventions, once you've been to one, you've been to them all, with some exceptions, right? Gen Con is very, very special. Essen is very, very special. But a lot of the conventions I go to are just, Nothing wrong with them. Exhibitors, playing games, and an open gaming area. And that's great. But it kind of doesn't matter where it is in the world. But yeah, Gen Con and Essen, very special. How's Vicky's painting coming along? Vicky is unfortunately too busy building a Millennium Falcon out of Lego that somebody bought her for Christmas. So yeah, the painting, when are you planning to get back to it? Next month? Don't know. No, don't know. What's next on the list to paint? Oh, don't know. Right, okay. Because Vicky has finished painting everything that was in her current batch of things. Oh, the Diviner from Gloomhaven. She's painted all of the Gloomhaven base game figures, all of the Jaws of the Lion figures, and we've got the Diviner. So the Diviner hasn't been painted yet. Ray wants to know, do I think board game content providers in areas with restrictions such as UK are being disadvantaged compared to those in countries which allow face-to-face gaming such as Australia? Massively. Yes. But that's the way things are. I mean, it's not just that. It's Vicky isn't really a gamer, and she doesn't want to be on camera. That's just how it is. But I'm watching other content creators where there's a couple playing a game together, and it makes for such a better stream with two people sat there playing a game together, and I'm not able to do that at the moment. And other people are able to do that because their significant other plays games. I'm doing a lot of remote gaming, and that for me anyway, that is almost as good. The fact that I played Too Many Bones with Scott on Monday, I'm playing Too Many Bones with Rick tomorrow, and sneak preview, nobody knows this yet, but on a Friday in February, I am going to be playing War Chest with Mike Fitzgerald, which I'm really excited about, okay? We agreed it today. We've just got to pick a date, but I will be doing that. So for me, from my point of view, I'm still playing games with other people. Of course, it's a lot more hassle to do the stream and the Skype and everything else. From an audience point of view, I think it would be better if Mike Fitzgerald was actually here with me and we played a game together. That would be much better, but we can't have it. Do I feel that it's advantaging us? Yeah, I think so. But to be honest, would my videos get more views if there was somebody physically here with me? No, I don't think they would. So it's just one of those things. If you are a content creator who significant other plays games with you and you do videos together, then great. That's good. Right. Favorite snacks while gaming? That is the most silliest question I've ever seen. Adam, I'm very disappointed. Gotta be Jaffa cakes, hasn't it? Yeah, gotta be Jaffa cakes. Oh, and a big pile of nuts. Cashew nuts. Not pistachios. Oh, I do like pistachios. Oh, in fact, lots. Yeah, okay. But Jaffa cakes. Scott, we've got 3 questions left. Scott, how much can you expect a player to supply for a print and play before it should not be considered a print and play? Oh, that's a good question. That is a very good question. Answers in the chat right now. Okay? Answers in the chat. How much do you expect a player to print and play before it shouldn't be called a print and play? So for me, let's talk about sheets of paper. 10? 10. Both me and Vicky are saying 10. If it's any more than 10 sheets of paper, 10 to 15, going up, 15 to 20. 20, any advance on 20? 20, 20 going what? Yeah, about 10 sheets of A4 paper or letter if you're in America. Any more than that is a bit too much. However, if we're talking counters and cards, because if you get 9 cards on a sheet of paper, then 10 sheets of paper is 90 cards. I think 90 cards is about the limit, right? But if you're talking that I've got to make physical sticky counters as well, for me, I'd look at how much time it would take you to prepare it. And if it's going to take you more than 2 or 3 hours to put together, then I'm not sure. So Ian is saying 10, Paul is saying 15. Yeah, Mark is saying if it's more, send him the files for the professional printer. Yeah. Adventure of D is now a card game. I don't know what Adventure of D is, although it rings a bell. Yeah, I think somebody's mentioned Adventures of D before. I need to look that up. I should play with Draft War Chest. Yes, I am. We're going to be playing with Draft. I've said to Mike, I want to play the Draft variant. Adam has got slippers or no slippers. Slippers, always. In fact, I wear my slippers at conventions because they're comfortable. So, yeah, I'm just one of those people. And the final question for today from Genway is, would I do a behind-the-scenes walkthrough video of sorts? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by a behind-the-scenes walkthrough? Do you mean me walking through my studio and things like that? I absolutely would. Yeah, if Patreon supporters wanted to see a behind-the-scenes video of the studio setup, then I'm more than happy to do that. It won't take me long to do. I can do that. Right. We are done for today. Final chance for the contest. Link is going in the chat now. Anybody can enter the contest. £25 worth of games vouchers from Games Law. All you need to do is click on the link and answer the questions. When it gets to the secret question, put the word bonfire. And if you are not watching this live, you can still enter the contest. All you need to do is enter it before the 31st of January 2021. If you enter before 6 p.m. GMT on that day, that's the cutoff day. So at that point is the cutoff. But yeah, if you're not watching this live, you can still enter the contest. Just for me to say thank you very much to everybody for watching today. Thank you for all of the questions. I haven't been able to keep a full eye on the chat. Vicky has, so thank you very much for doing all of that. Yeah, it's been another enjoyable one. Before we go, I'm just going to put something on screen because I'm getting very, very hungry. Which one is it? It's this one. Right, this is this week. So as mentioned earlier on, I have taken pretty much this month off paid work, and I have been producing lots and lots of videos. They're all on the channel if you want to go back and watch them. All purely funded through the Patreon campaign. So thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters for making this possible. We are currently here. This is the live Q&A. So tonight, 8 p.m. GMT bonfire. I have it set up on the table right here in front of me, and I'm going to be relearning how to play as soon as this is finished, and that is 8 p.m. tonight. So that's 2 hours 20 from now. Tomorrow is a full day. I have Drake Hollow computer game at 11 o'clock in the morning. I have Maracaibo campaign at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have Too Many Bones with Rick 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Friday, I'm back again with Maracaibo at 2 p.m. I might sneak something in Friday morning. I'll see how we get on. I've got other stuff going on in the background that I need to do. But that's this week. Unfortunately, next week I return back to work, so it's not going to be anywhere near as much as this. I will still be producing some content, but not as much as I have done in the last month. So, yeah. If you enjoy the content that I make and you are in a position to be able to support me, then please do so. Patreon.com/gaming rules, and you get access to the Slack channel. And this month, I'm actually, as well as this contest, I'm also giving away a copy of Too Many Bones. So a base game of Too Many Bones to anybody in the world. One of my Patreon supporters is going to win that. So if you are a Patreon supporter at producer level or higher at the end of the month, then you can win a copy of Too Many Bones base game. That is there. Whew. Yeah, that is everything. So final thing about the BGG Guild. Guild number 2258. Go and join it. Go and subscribe. There's going to be 3 things posted there. There's going to be the question from Russ earlier on. There's going to be the question from Adam. And I'm looking for your answers in those. I can't remember what those questions were right now, but they were good questions. And I'm going to put them on the Guild. And then probably next week, I will put a thread up asking for questions for next month. So if you have any questions that you didn't manage to get answered this time, just give it a week. Have a look on the Board Game Geek Guild, and there will be a questions thread for February 2021. And yeah, what I do is I collate all of those questions, and then I will answer them in the live Q&A, which will be Wednesday, 27th of February. No, it won't. No, it won't. What? I'm getting mixed up. Right. Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm getting mixed up because February and March, unless it's a leap year, it's always the same day, and I got it mixed up. So what's the date? 20. Is that the last one? 30 days in January? 31 days? February. Oh, right. Okay. I'm hungry. It's late. I'm tired. Wednesday, 24th of February. It's all right. This is being edited. It's not going out live, is it? Yeah, no, it's being edited. Right. 24th of February is the next live Q&A. I will answer all of your questions there. Well, what a way to end. I think we broke. Yes, you did break me. Right. Okay. We're all done. Thank you very much. I will see some of you later on in a couple of hours' time for Bonfire. Yeah, we're all good. We'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone.
Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.